Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Golden Sun. In the last part we helped Ivan get his rod, as dirty as that sounds, and now we're actually in the weapon shop here because I want to buy a battle axe for both Isaac and Garrett. It's a pure upgrade over the longsword at this point, so might as well. You're gonna find yourself upgrading quite a bit. Also, do not sell that bandit sword, it's gonna come in handy coming up. And if you have any good money left after that, I would recommend possibly buying some new armor, but I'm going to save that to the next town. And now we're almost done here in Vault. There's two more things I want to do. Also, you can push people because you can. One, I'm going to go into that mayor's house momentarily, because last part he said he had something for us. But there's also something I can technically start now, but I can't complete until much later in the game. See, there's a bell tower here, and if you go up and ring the bell, you can see that there's a Djinn behind that tree, and now scare him up there. Meaning we can now get him much later in the game. Don't worry, we'll get him eventually, just not now. And now I'm back in the mayor's house because I want to get the thing he had for us. Which is a water of life. If I recall correctly, that's just your basic Phoenix down function. Anyway, our next destination is Goma Cave, because that's on the way to the next town of Bibilin. It's southeast of us. Well, technically it's east and then northeast, but you know what I mean. Well, no you don't, because you may not have played the game before, but you... Vocabulistics are not my words. Either way, welcome to Goma Cave. Or at least the Goma Cave entrance. Also, anytime you can push one of these little statues here without having to use your psi energy, do so, because it'll save you psi energy in the long run. It's just something I recommend doing. Also, I don't think I mentioned it at this point, but I love the world map theme, which is playing right now. I still think Dark Dawn has the best world map theme, but that's just because I think Dark Dawn's my personal favorite. Go back. You actually have to push that little statue there. And we can't move it at all no matter what direction you press. It's no use. Our psi energy isn't strong enough to free that stump. Hey, Ivan, how are you?
You want to move that stump, right? It looks like it's trapped in the ivy. Isn't there something we can do? I know. I have a great idea. Leave it to me.
And that's him using his wind powers. Whirlwind allows you to clear certain stage objects like leaves like that. Alright, Ivan.
I did it.
Thanks for the help, but why are you here, Ivan?
I couldn't get into Loompa. Don't get me wrong, I didn't come here to ask for your help. Your quest has been on my mind ever since I left Vault. Remember, I read everything that happened in your minds. I couldn't just leave now with all those terrible things happening. I can't rescue Master Hammett, then I want him to help you. Please allow me to join your quest. And now we have our permanent third-party member. Or permanent-ish. Are you trying to get to Bibilin through this cave? Yep. Then let's go. Alright, now let's equip that bandit sword to him, because that's the reason I kept it with me. Also, I would recommend having Whirlwind on your second shortcut. Now, he actually does have that rod that he got from Master Hammett. However, I don't think you can ever sell it, or at least if you can, it's one of those you can just buy back. And the bandit sword is the first one that has a secondary ability, aside from maybe defending every now and then when you don't want it to. It can do this rapid attack streak thing, which does a lot of damage compared to its normal attacks. Also, there's something I can technically go do in Vale right now, but I forget to do that until a bit later in the video. Anyway. Welcome to Goma Cave. Your generic first actual dungeon, and we have our first new enemies, Willheads. 54 HP, weak to Earth, I believe it is. Or is that their actual element? I think they're weak to earth. Yeah, they're weak to earth and they're strong against water, I believe it is. Which, for something that looks like it's on fire, is kind of odd. And we got our next new enemy here, Skeletons and Ghosts. Skeletons have 60 HP, weak to earth, and strong against water. And Ghosts... Let me look at my notes here. Have 56 HP, are weak against wind, and strong against water. And no enemies really have any standout abilities to them. Most of the time they just physically attack. They don't really tend to do their other stuff. You gotta run into a lot of undead stuff in here in terms of Final Fantasy logic, though. However, fire is surprisingly not the most effective thing against them. Anyway, we've got the normal slimes here, and the normal bats. Normal slimes have 32 HP, are weak against fire, and strong against water. Normal bats have 30 HP, weak against wind, and strong against earth. And zombies have 55 HP, strong against, weak against fire, and strong against water. Nothing too bad. Anyway, we want to push this stone statue here, because you might notice there's a slight depression on the north. And we want to have that for, well, as you can plainly see, a Djinn up there that we're going to be able to jump to now later on. And if you can't tell by its color, that is a Mars Djinn, which means it's going to be fire elemental. I do recommend doing some level grinding, because you want to have Ivan at a slightly higher level. I recommend level 7 once we reach the next town. I'm just going to say that right now, because I would do some off-screen grinding. Anyway, you want to push this over, so you can jump over to here. However, if you want to get that chest, you're going to need to push it over again. And in here we get a lucky medal. That is a key item for later on. As I'm now showing off, it's a special medal from Tolby. We'll find out where that is later. Now we want to push this giant thing around, because that'll create another platform for us to jump on in the previous floor. You know, enemies can kind of get repetitive. And now it's time for us to fight this Mars Djinn we just saw a moment ago. The Mars Djinn, which is named Forge, by the way, as we'll find out later, has 172 HP, weak to water, strong against fire. It has pretty much the exact same effects that, or special abilities that Garrett has at this point, Flare and Blast especially. Notable, all enemies have a PP amount, a synergy point count as well, however, they generally will not run out. Just go out with all out with your strongest attacks, unless you're using Garrett, because in which case, do not use his synergy, and you should do fairly well, and heal when necessary. Also, one thing of note, every Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Mercury genie in this game, or Djinn as it really is, because it's singular, looks the exact same, as you'll notice as we go on. Dark Dawn would later change it so that every Djinn has its own unique design, which I really do like. Still waiting for Golden Sun 4, Nintendo. And since it's a fire Djinn, it's going to immediately be mapped to Garrett, who I'm going to keep it on. And we're actually pretty close to the exit. Also, you have to set a Djinn immediately after getting it, because that's the best way to equip it. Or that's the only way you can equip it immediately. For some reason. And I forgot to edit this, we'll head out. Oh well. It dies quickly. And that also creates a shortcut back to the entrance if you want to get back to the other half without having to backtrack through the entire place. And with that, welcome back to the world map, which has the next town of Bibilin, with a really creepy tree that looks almost like a man, apparently. First off, in terms of items, first off, also, the inn here costs 21 coins. In terms of items you want to get, you want to talk to this guy like 3 times. And you want to investigate this jar here because, as we find out now, it has 5 coins. Coins are generally the only ones I'm going to go for unless it's a fairly rare item. Like this nut over here to the left. Nuts, as I mentioned before, restore 200 HP. Which is really good. That's like mid to end game level healing. For free. Note, all nuts are a one-time use thing. Anyway, I want to use mind read on this because apparently that is an actual man as a tree. If you talk to people around, apparently people have been getting transformed into trees, and we're going to talk to someone about that next part. I do recommend talking to everyone if you want to get the full backstory, but I don't need to do that because I played the game before. And I'm going to use the inn because I have more than enough money. Also, fun fact, the sound effect for the inn in this game reminds me a lot of Prelude from Final Fantasy. Now, there's a weapon shop up there, and I could go in there, but I'm not going to just yet. I'm going to go around the town first. Plus, I'm going to need more money for what I want to get there. Because there is actually a bunch of leaves over here that we can clear with Whirlwind. That leads to an area you normally can't get to without doing this. Come down here, and we're in the Sanctuary, if I recall correctly. And we can use Move on this statue to move it down, which allows us to go over here. And get our first Jupiter Djinn. By the way, I should mention, I didn't talk about it when I got it. But this is the first Jupiter Djinn. Its name is, something. Gust. Gust raises your agility, Forge raises your attack for the entire party. Pretty decent. In fact, I'll say a lot of the early game Djinn are some of the most useful. And it's around now that I think that I actually backtracked to Vale to get something that I forgot off screen. Yes it is. Back in the first screen of Vale, you may have noticed if you were looking around, you could see the leaves that you can blow around with Whirlwind. The one here on the left houses something rather useful. And that is, in fact, a Power Bread, which raises your HP when you use it on someone. I'm going to use that on Ivan because his HP is pathetic. Now, it's at this point I do some level grinding for safety. It's also around this point you can actually technically do 2 things. You can head north to get your 4th party member and face some harder bosses at this point, or you can head east after doing some other stuff. And you'll actually progress with the plot I'm gonna do. And that hard nut, I think that raises defense. Do not use that on Ivan, use it on the next party member when you get them. But this guy's gonna let us in because, apparently even though we look pretty young, we're the only ones to come up to the challenge for what's happening, so we're gonna check that out. Also, guys, it's a JRPG. Always trust the 16-year-olds with all your problems. But with that, I'm gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 7, we'll be checking out this the rest of McCoy's mansion here, and finding out what the hell is going on here in Bibilin. See you guys then!